But anyway, I do see that we are going into our first battle of GRA versus GRAtm Derby. We are watching from the point of view of GRA with Lucille, Nugra, Nuclear. Is that Rhino? Rhino. I've not actually seen Rhino before. Monastery, Art, and Asunder. On the other team, we have GRAtm. And do you want to have an attempt at reading their names?
Let's see. International 64, Minsk, looks like. Amarli, FC Dynamo, I recognize that name. Kalento, the APL, and Armageddon 008.
Nice. So they're actually much easier to say, I would say. International, Minsk, Amarli, Dynamo, Kalento, the APL, and Armageddon. They're going to be much easier to pronounce. But anyway, into free cam we go, and we are seeing them take the city. What do you expect them to do with this lineup then? Where do you think they're going to go, and what do you think they're going to do?
Well, it looks like they're going straight through the city squares, trying to make contact with the enemy as quickly as possible. You can see the T-69 over there in D5. He's just trying to check the 5-6 line, see if they're putting probably their 5100s there. But now that they've made contact with those IS-3s, I expect we're going to see some big moves coming very soon here.
So we have Rhino and Nuclear holding the fort, so if anything comes round or comes through the narrow passages there, they'll get a double shot from an IS-3, and no one wants that on their birthday. And I just realised we have very little sound coming out of water tanks. I'll boost that. And we have the two AMX 5100s in support, so I guess if anything makes a move, they'll come in, but they're also ready just in case something comes around the back. If you see here, Lucille is looking towards the west just in case anything is flanking. Is that a sensible position?
Well, we're talking about that T1 up there, yes?
No. The AMX 5100 driven by Lucille. Or Lucille, or something, whatever it is.
Yeah,
he's facing the west with his turret, guarding anyone who tries to flank.
Yes, definitely. If they come flying up the one line, looks like they've got both their IS-3s there, so it wouldn't be surprising to see both 5100s show up there at E1. That's exactly what Luciquel is trying to deny there. He can pop off a couple shots and back up and not get pinchered, so he's just protecting his IS-3 right in front of him, Nuclear 2.
Yeah, because if they get round the corner there, he would go down immediately. What about Noguera? What's his role in this position?
He's kind of doing a similar thing for the other IS-3, Rhino, and it looks like he's also keyed up, ready to fly down the 3 line and flank them should this team here make a move on him. Looks like the biggest action is actually coming out of the T-69 over there on the F6 area.
Yeah. So we are seeing Monastery move forward, and the two T1s back in the base. I'm guessing that's for sort of cap defense. If they try a big rush, they can reset the cap. Also for sighting. But we do have Kalento and Monastery popping off shots at each other. Monastery does take 2, and that's really unfortunate for him. Out of position slightly, being halfway down the cover there, so he couldn't just back off immediately. He didn't return fire though, so was he saving his shells? Very interesting that he was going to actually push forward now, still with no support. Although Nugra was able to get 2 shots off, but he's still mostly hitting the end. He won't be able to finish him off before he runs out of ammo, so Monastery's now in a lot of trouble. One more shot and he's going to go down, and there he goes. Misplay? Question mark?
Well, he definitely got caught with his pants down pretty much. He originally wasn't shooting back because he was still clipping after dumping all his shots into Dynamo there in the IS-3, who look like they're actually starting to step into ours.
And there we see that Rhino has taken some damage, but Dynamo took a lot more. As I was replying in the chat when the game has started, we didn't do that. Whoops. But we have already started, guys. You're 10 minutes behind. Sorry about the delay. But we have to stop any sort of stream treating, because it would invalidate any result if there was any chance that a team could have cheated. Even if we believe these teams would be too pro to want to do that, we cannot take the risk. So yeah, Rhino there with Dynamo and Amarli trying to make something happen, but they're not doing much. Rhino took a little bit of damage, but Dynamo took a lot more. What can Red GRAtm, the other team, what can they do to take advantage of their one tank up? They obviously took out Monastery and the T69. Their T69 is not too badly damaged. Is there anything particular they could do right now to take advantage of that extra tank?
Well, they already did the biggest thing, which is, get the one tank advantage. So all they need to do is take that T69 that was in there at about F5, F6, move him straight up the 6 line, and bring their T1s all the way through maybe the 8 line. And that'll help take out GRA. Is it GRA?
Yeah, GRA's the one we're
It'll
watching.
take out GRA's T1s, and the only thing they'd have to deal with at that point would be the 150-100 sitting back there at C3. But that would let 2 IS-3s and 2 5100s dogpile the 3 of our team that we see sitting here, and that would be a pretty imbalanced battle. So all they've got to do is basically create another front with a T69 and then swoop in. No matter where they go, there will be a hole, there will be a weakness.
Yes, because of this one extra tank, and that's why it was so important for Monastery to have not done what he did. But there we have a move at Kalento. The extra tank comes around and does destroy one of the T1s, and if he's sensible, he will get out of there, but he might not be. Nugrira does get the shot, and that takes him down. That was a good damage roll there, and that was, well, a silly mistake, I guess. They threw away their advantage, and that means that they're also going to lose the T1 there, and it goes back to even tanks.
Right now, GRAtm needs to be moving. And they are. Here they're piling in on the 3.
They are. The action is actually started now, and I'm going to have to interrupt you for that. As Armalee's actually taking a lot of damage, and one shot away from getting killed. Rhino and Lysil going around the corner, trying to kill that AMX 5100, and they do so. However, their teammate does go down in the process. This actually looks like it's going in favor of GRA as GRAtm, but Nugrira runs straight in there, trying to catch Dynamite out of position, but takes so much damage and rams into Minx, he might actually go down, but Minx runs out of ammo, 1 too short. He must have been counting the shots. Lysil and Rhino comes in to back up his teammate, and he goes down too, leaving Dynamite on his own. And how did that engagement go so wrong?
That was just colossal mistakes on both sides. It's like a fumble contest almost. Nuregri, or however you pronounce that, the 5100 who went straight in there, almost paid the ultimate price for it. But fortunately, it looks like GRAtm, I'm having trouble keeping these teams straight.
Yeah.
The green team, they were pretty much surrounded, but they were able to squeak out. So really, red just needed to collapse in with a little bit more authority and take advantage of the advantage they had before the other 5100 came back.
But right now, they've actually split their forces up, which means that Dynamo has a chance to get back into this. But no, side shots come in from Nuregri, and he goes down. So that is the end of the game 1, and GRA beats TM. And I think we're just going to call them that, GRA and TM. Even though they're called GRAtm and GRA. That is an awkward thing. That
works for me.
Yeah, that works for me too. Let's look at the stats there. I don't think there's much really to see in the stats. As you pointed out, Nagatron, that it was mostly a mistake from positioning and when they engaged rather than anything else. That final battle was very clumsy from both sides. They didn't really focus down very well. I wasn't convinced they had engaged until they just split up. And it was just, okay, they decided to do a bunch of one-on-one battles. I can't really explain it.
Well, one interesting thing here, if you look at the stat breakdown, red team there, which one is that? Let's get this straight finally. Is that TM or is that GRA?
TM is on the right at the moment, the opponents, and GRA is the one on the left.
So TM's 5100s got in a combined total of 11 shots for 8 penetrations. So that's not enough out of their 5100s. But then GRA proper, they had 20 shots with 15 penetrations, and that right there is the game.
Yeah, that is, and that was all because of their positioning. Instead of splitting up their 5100s in that engagement at the end there, it did feel like TM shoved one AMX 5100 way too far in, and that cost them the game basically. Right, so that's the first game, and I'm just making sure everything's working as intended, and it seems like it is, so fantastic. We're between games, and we'll see if there's going to be any lineup changes. I don't expect to see either of these teams change much of their lineups, if any at all. Mainly because this is a derby match, and in most derby matches we see where the teams have trained together, they're using similar if not the same tactics, so we might see the 69s get changed out for other things, but I just don't know. I think it's going to be mirror matches all the way. because we did eventually see a mirror match in the last battle, as you saw with the T69 being selected.
Honestly, with how they're playing, it wouldn't be a bad idea for me if somebody were to switch out their T69 for an additional 5100. 5100 is much better on the 5-6 line because he's got 6 shots, which means he can afford to miss one and still take out the enemy in one clip. If he's going against the T69, all he has to do is drive straight at it and he will win, undoubtedly.
Yes.
But I find this whole play that they had last round kind of confusing to me. We do it a little bit differently. We'd be more likely to have 5100 being the roamer instead of the T69. But
okay. Is that because of speed? Because the 5100 is faster than the 69, isn't it?
yeah, because if you have an ultimate confrontation, you can get the 5100s into the fight no matter where they are, whereas the 69, I feel like it's more prone to being used next to the heavies. It can pop off the 4 shots to kind of reinforce them, and say, for example, you get stuck in like a Mexican standoff where they're both on corners and they don't want to push directly at each other. The 69 kind of reinforces that because you know if you round that corner, you're going to eat 4 shots in such a short period of time, you're probably going to lose a tank and then be at a strategic disadvantage.
And it's got a lot of HP, really. It's 1,350, which is pretty high. We've seen it survive in situations where just the 90 just wouldn't do. The AMX 90 would have just fallen over and just exploded. The 69 just survives that little bit longer and is able to get the extra shot off. As you said, 4 shots, really quick reload, gets them off, takes a few shells, backs off. Even though on low HP, he's now a threat. The enemy either try and dive for him, trying to take him down, or he gets to reload and come back later behind his forces and do another 4 shots. But we often see so far in the Golden League, the T69's been used as like a forward prober. They come forward, they take a few shots, and they kind of scout, I would say. They're the front line, almost always the first tank we see from both teams. Is that unusual to you?
Not necessarily. They're pretty small, and they've got decent view range, which makes that not a bad way to use them at all. 5100 has a flat 400 with all view skills, can max out his view range, but it's very big, so it's very awkward, and once you're spotted, you can't really go anywhere. The 69 has a little bit more maneuverability in that aspect.
Oh, okay.